Nice of you to join us. Welcome to The Gavel. I am Terry Ikumi. Now, after 5 weeks, the National Assembly has resumed full duty. It was an interesting week for federal lawmakers, and you'll find out why in a moment. But first, let's take a look at how the first day of resumption went.
Federal lawmakers in the upper chamber exchanged warm greetings, some of them seeing each other for the first time this year. When it was time for business, the Senate first went into a closed-door session, leaving out the media. When the doors were opened, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, revealed the key decisions reached behind closed doors.
The Senate, in a closed session, deliberated on the security situation across the country. We resolved to deliberate on this issue exclusively on the next legislative day. For a long time, major stakeholders in the country, in the security of our nation and police authorities, appeared to achieve consensus on the necessity of the introduction of community policing in the country. The Senate is going to pursue the implementation of community policing vigorously. To this end, the police authorities will be invited to brief and update the Senate on the progress made so far. The Senate further resolved to fast-track the passage of Petroleum Industry Bill, amendments of the Electoral Act.
He then read a letter from President Buhari over the composition of the board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC. President Buhari had ordered for a forensic investigation of the NDDC after persistent reports of corruption in the commission, and also set up an interim committee to handle the affairs of the board after sending the names of board members to the Senate for confirmation.
Based on this, and in order to allow for uninterrupted process of the forensic investigation, the board appointment confirmed by the Senate has to be put on hold to allow the interim team continue to manage the commission pending the outcome of the forensic audit.
Then the Senate suspended plenary in honor of a member of the House of Representatives who passed away on the 31st of December 2019 while the National Assembly was on recess. Meanwhile, in the lower chamber, as lawmakers resumed plenary after being away for about 5 weeks, they exchanged pleasantries while still mourning the loss of their colleague, Representative Fagen Gawo. Sticking with its usual tradition, the House observed a minute of silence in honor of the late lawmaker, and like the Senate, suspended plenary till the next legislative day.
May the souls of the departed rest in peace.
In a conversation with the Chairman House Committee on Judiciary, he outlined some of the areas of focus of the House going forward.
We had a retreat, Nigerian Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies organized a retreat for the chairman of committees. And then we had a commitment, we came out with a communique that we are prepared to perform our oversight. We're going to look at, is there any possibility of rethinking the Police Act? Is it possible? And if we are going to do that, by what measure and to what extent are we going to do that? What do we seek to achieve?
He supports the position of the Southwest governors on the creation of the Amotekun security outfit.
You need the local content. You need people that understand the terrain. You need people that understand the language. And that's why I support the position of what the Southwest has done. And it's not new. We've had the Isba police in Kano, and then we have the civilian JTF. They've made some significant progress. But it has to be done within the ambit of the law. We have to have legislation backing it up.
Any line item for subsidy in the budget?
The Plateau caucus of the House, supported by a faction of the PDP caucus, speaking to journalists, shared some security concerns in the state.
One can easily conclude that genocide has been declared on my people and indeed Plateau State. Consequently, we request as follows. We call on Mr. President to show sincerity and commitment, to match words with actions, to secure all Nigerians wherever they are. And as Commander-in-Chief, he should provide security agencies with modern equipment, resources, and the political will to make them succeed in this venture. We call also on the international community to save our people from being extinct. going by the numbers killed every day, which is alarming and is a cause for concern. Our people need your show of love at this point to provide the IDPs with food, water, and sanitation as a matter of urgency.
The insecurity in the country was the major focus for federal lawmakers in the week under review. Let's take you down memory lane now. In February 2018, the 8th National Assembly held an elaborate security summit to find solutions to the security problems bedeviling the country at the time. A report detailing several recommendations to tackle insecurity was put together, debated on the floor, and sent to the executive. Nothing else was heard about that report. Now, almost 2 years later, the security situation is not any better. You have the Boko Haram insurgency still topping security concerns, while kidnappings, armed banditry, and farmers' herders clashes are still rampant. Now, lawmakers in both chambers of the National Assembly dedicated an entire plenary session to the issue of security. The Senate Minority Leader, Senator Ainaya Abaribe, called for President Buhari's resignation for failing to address the security challenges in the country, while the House of Representatives called for the resignation of the security chiefs, since the president has refused to fire them. Dedicating the entire plenary session on Wednesday to discuss the security crisis in the country, with a hope that this time the contributions will make a difference. The Senate reiterated its desire to focus squarely on the security situation in the country to turn it around.
This surprise surprised me.
The Senate Minority Leader, in his contribution, wasted no time in heaping the blame on President Muhammadu Buhari and the All Progressives Congress.
All the time that we wasted in Nigeria trying to find all these excuses for non-performance has now come to stare us in the face. Reality is no respecter of persons. And it is the reality that we are facing now. Senator Sani Musa shouting every day that his people were being killed in Niger. Mr. President, Nigeria did not elect the IG. We did not elect the Chief of Staff. We did not elect the Joint Chiefs. We did not elect the National Security Advisor. We elected the government of APC in 2015 and re-elected them in 2019. The reason why we re-elected them was that they continued to tell us that because they had the key to security, and the whole Nigeria voted them in 2015, and I agree with that. And I'm saying, Mr. President, when you want to deal with a matter, you go to the head. So we will go to the government and ask this government to resign because they can no longer do anything in this country.
A member of the All Progressives Congress took offense at Senator Abaribe's comments.
If, Mr. President, we do not approach this debate, if we do not approach this debate with the level of responsibility that it demands, we shall be doing more harm than good to this issue of national security. I would have wished the Senate President not only telling the minority leader that he's used his time allotted for this discussion, but he should have called him to withdraw those statements that he made.
Who coordinates security in this country?
Some senators called on President Buhari to fire the service chiefs, arguing that they have outlived their usefulness.
Whatever we want, whether state police, community police, town police, local government police, all these ones are going to be rhetorics if there is no proper organization and strategy. If we don't do that, we are wasting time. Then finally, Mr. President, we know the media has been awash, particularly when you watch televisions in the morning. If we are pretending that there is no form of restiveness in the armed forces, then we are deceiving ourselves. Because the service chiefs, the Armed Forces Act, all of them, they have quoted them, that these service chiefs have overstayed. We don't want to choose for Mr. President, that is the prerogative. But if it is true that these service chiefs, after we confirmed them, over 5 years ago, They are still on the saddle. I have no apologies. They have done very well. They have overstayed their welcome. They are bereft of ideas. Others should come in.
On the issue of creating state and regional police as a solution to the security crisis, while some senators are in support, others are not.
There's no reason why the security situation in Nigeria should be the exclusive responsibility of the federal government. Policing cannot be a monopoly of the federal government. Whether in private sector or in public sector, monopolies breed abuse. Monopolies breed abuse and inefficiency. States should have a right of choice. In this federation, states must have a right of choice. Any state that does not want a state police is free to contract the federal police to police its states. And those states that believe they can handle their own police system should be allowed to do so. This is a democracy, and we must respect freedom.
We don't want to create another Nigerian police and give it another name. If you create state police today, what are the challenges that the Nigerian police is facing that will not also face or will not be faced by the state police? I can tell you straight up. Yes, I'm coming. I can tell you straight up that one of the biggest challenges we have with the Nigerian police force is that we're not devoting enough resources to enable them to perform their jobs. Now we have state governments who want to create state police. These are the same state governments that are not able to pay salaries of workers today. If we create this state police, it will just be like we're back to the same Nigerian police force, if not even worse. On the one hand,
the Senate thereafter set up an ad hoc committee to engage with the security institutions to review the security architecture in the country.
Any member who has a petition.
Meanwhile, in the House of Representatives, the security situation in the country gained the maximum attention of the lawmakers as well, as it was debated for over 3 hours. The lawmakers in their various contributions appeared visibly upset about the security situation in the country, particularly in the Northeast.
The total withdrawal of all these armed forces in that area and their immediate replacement with a new breed of soldiers to be deployed immediately, because some of them have overstayed in that place. They are tired of the war. They want to go back home.
I believe somewhere, somehow, in the corridors of power, the president is not being told the truth of the situation in Northeast.
The service chiefs we have are not showing good example. And it's hard time we stop painting it. They have outlived their usefulness. And I think if there's anybody who loves this nation, the best thing for them is to take a bow and go.
As Commander-in-Chief,
the Speaker's opinion on the removal of the service chiefs was met with a counter-opinion, and when the matter was put to vote, the lawmakers voted massively for the resignation of the service chiefs.
The tenure of the service chiefs, are you saying that by a fluctuation of time, it has expired and is not renewable? As Commander-in-Chief, not as President, as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, the buck stops at Mr. President's desk. Yes, we can, and that's the essence of separation of powers as well. We can participate, and that's exactly what the Honorable Jimmy Benson has just done. He has participated by saying, this is what I feel, this is where I feel, and the whole House has said it too, as a matter of fact. So I don't think, just as we wouldn't want something taken away from any chairman of this committee or any leader, I think we should continue to put pressure, which is what the House wants, that the service chiefs have spent their time and they need to go.
Automatically, whether their tenure has expired or not, they have completely outlived their usefulness and they must go.
Those in probably say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.